So I don't know why this had to be on a Saturday, but it killed some time for me. I got to see a pay-per-view before heading to work. So let's just get this over with. So, you all know what happened, right? Kickoff open with... I'm going over Kickoff because it at least had important characters like Rey Mysterio and I guess The Miz. And the importance that he has in his life, it has to be pushed over on Kickoff. A former two-time world champion put on Kickoff. So was Rey Mysterio. So, and this was over just a no contest assault by the Usos against the Viking Raiders earlier over in the show. It didn't even have a match. I thought I just skipped ahead because I was trying to lay down. But no, it was literally like that. Dominic was trying to help over with the steel chair attempt by Miz, ending with him getting, taken away from the match. Surprise roll up over Rey Mysterio after the skull crushing finale attempt, ending with a double 619. So I guess this feud is going to continue, with Dominic probably getting over on an episode of Raw soon. Not expecting much off this, just expecting the worst, like any other WWE match. Then we had Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. Even though Goldberg was doing pretty well, he put up 2 straight spears whenever Roman Reigns garnered momentum. He was trying to counter with the jackhammer, and it ends with a reversal into the guillotine chokehold, with Goldberg nearly having a chance to break out with his feet still up, and a chance to counter out. But Roman Reigns had him in the ground. Ref had to check, and it ends by submission. Roman Reigns retains the Universal title as expected, but it was short, sweet to the point. Obviously, we're going to try to push over Roman Reigns. Don't know why I have this match anyway. Even though this was built over as like a redemption story, because these guys didn't wrestle back when Roman Reigns was the first COVID year for the company. Back when they were supposed to have their match back at 37. And they got replaced with McIntyre versus Lesnar. No, it got replaced with Strowman versus Goldberg. And now he's gone. And I don't know, forgettable. This was a forgettable match, to be honest. Out of the good matches, title defenses Roman had with the Universal title, at least the fans were over with it. You got a nice reaction, so I'm not gonna try to rag on this too much. Then we had the boring ass Elimination Chamber, involving Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Doudrop, a Deuce, Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASHIT, and of course Bianca Belair. So that's all I can push to perspective of how much I am really entertained off the women's match. I think Liv Morgan did a double face breaker. It ended with Bianca Belair being the last two. Doudrop got tossed over the top. KOD nearly won the match in a pretty fast-paced one-on-one. That's technically it. The match was average. It looked like it wasn't doing much to really catch my attention, to be honest. I really hate Doudrop just obviously getting more screen time. Oh, it got rid of the other fat bitch, so we get the other fat bitch. It's like you can't find a monstrously tall woman, so you have to get another overweight woman that looks like she's probably made a bomb-ass pasta before at home. I'm saying that now because I know that she recently got married. But that's technically it. The match was okay. Bianca Belair won. Obviously, either Lita or Becky's going to get her over come WrestleMania. That's the most I can push from this. Speaking about another women's match, we had another women's match. Ronda had literally one arm tied behind her back, facing off against Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville. And this is still coinciding with the Naomi and Sonya Deville storyline. Yes, they're still feuding. I don't know what's the story behind this. Why is the reason why Sonya dislikes Naomi? If it was the reason that you are still in the company because who you're married with, that could have at least been a more reasonable story of nepotism or relationships benefiting a majority of the company because she's gay. She has a difficult time getting like that's something that could have been a realistic storyline because it could have been real and it's legit. Even though like nobody gives two shits about Sonya Deville or Naomi, so that's literally my honest like takeover most of this. Either way, the match was okay. Sonya, of course, Ronda would still hold her own, giving arm drags uh, to Sonya Deville that has her arm in a sling. So I guess they did this for like a equal playing field. That's my only explanation. That is legit my only explanation. And we of course had the rear view sunset flip. The only thing I was like paying attention to is Naomi's ass because she's wearing like skin tight. All the women had to wear skin tight gear because Saudi. And of course, any tear of those clothes would have ended in with them playing baseball with the Stones. So Ronda ends with a Piper's Pit on Sonya Deville. Some type of fireman's carry spin out Death Valley driver. And Ronda will face off against Charlotte Flair for WrestleMania still. This was just a one-up. I think they're still going to continue the storyline on SmackDown though. So yeah, you get the good with the bad. Ronda Rousey looked legit at least. Still can handle herself even while handicapped. So it's cool to see that because let's give it a buck. If it was Naomi or anybody else on the main roster, nobody would care what's going on in the women's division, even though they would say, "Oh, it's a good match." All we focus on now is wrestling, and it's goddamn boring. At least we get somebody legit like Ronda Rousey that actually has, an it factor and actually got a company more successful than that is as successful as the WWE, like the UFC, to at least pioneer women to be a higher draw than the men at one point, like Ronda has done. And she's been one of the more successful women that had a late blooming career in the wrestling business. So I'm not gonna discredit her. She looks legit, acts like a badass, and she improves every time she gets in the ring. You can't discredit that all because she didn't work in the goddamn indies, or she's not a real legit wrestler, or has that much of avid respect for the pro wrestling business as anybody else. Like that just feels hypocritical and it feels stupid. Get over yourself. Stop being such a mark. Then we had, of course, a False Count Anywhere match involving Madcap Moss against Drew McIntyre. And technically, this would be 2-on-1 because Happy Corbin would be in the corner of Madcap Moss. And it ends with, it's a 2-on-1 assault automatically. Then the belly to belly, he kept doing minor moves even though they're not getting the win. McIntyre tossed Madcap Moss into the stage. And there was pyro everywhere in the event, bro. I hate that shit. They made it feel like WrestleMania because they don't make it feel like WrestleMania in Saudi. They get Vince gets death threats. So, wow. There was, of course, a fucking attempt with swinging a sword. I know that he'll miss to obviously scare Corbin off, and it ends with a Claymore kick that looks so restricted because he's still holding the sword at the same time. This was a crap match. I mean, the coolest spot was literally a reverse Alabama slam, and literally Madcap Moss literally got tossed on the dome of his head. So it literally could have broke his neck. The match itself wasn't that fun. It didn't look like they were being creative with it. It just had no entertainment factor in it. Then we had the Raw Women's title match. That was actually a good match, even though Lita hasn't had a legit one-on-one match until 6. I have cousins that were born in 06. That's how old I feel now. But the match was actually carried by Lita. Arm bars. They couldn't even do she couldn't even do a disarmor right the first time for an average counter into a schoolboy because how awkward Becky Lynch is. She just sucks. It's like she had the bare minimum of chemistry, so Lita had to push her into doing some average spots. She hit over the disarmor again, then immediately pushed herself into the manhandle slam. It was a kick out. Twist of Fate and a moonsault nearly got the near fall. This match was going a bit too long. This match did drag. Lita looked good at least. She still looked like she still got it, so that was good. At least this wasn't a completely smarky crowd because these brown people just wanted to see Goldberg and Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, so that's it. So it ends with Becky Lynch winning. Still, Lita looked great, and of course we need to do something for Lita and make Becky force herself to look more legit. Even though I think a lot more people would have popped for Lita getting another women's title match since 2006, after getting like slut shamed out of the company kayfabe wise by Crime Time. I remember that shit. Like, I think Crime Time, JTG and Shad literally had a box of her, like, her panties and shit, and literally took them out of the drawer after she lost to Trish Stratus. No, it was Mickie James she lost to. That was like late 06. Then we had the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And it didn't happen after a pre-match assault and having a tandem suplex on the entrance ramp on Ivor, ending with the match never even beginning anyway. So why have that shit on the? So why have that on the middle over in the show? Didn't they win a whole like 10-man tag to earn a shot, or 8-man 4-way to earn a shot, and then they immediately just that's off the window. It literally flew hours for a match that wasn't gonna happen. And then, of course, we had the Elimination Chamber. We had Riddle, Austin Theory, AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley. And this saved the men's Royal Rumble from last month. That this was actually entertaining. Schoolboy, Superkick, Rollins, Power Bomb Austin Theory into Bobby Lashley's Chamber Pod, ending with him getting hurt and then leaving out of nowhere. I guess that's a way to protect him without making him look weak against Lesnar. AJ Styles, there was a double power bomb with I think it was Rollins over Theory and Styles. Of course, there was a tower. I don't know what they call it. A tandem tower, a suplex and a power bomb, BS. And then as soon as Lashley's pod was going to open later on, Lesnar, of course, because Lashley's not there, that means Lesnar would have to wait an extended period of time. He literally just broke out of his shit and literally messed up everybody in the show. Clothesline everybody. F5'd everybody. F5'd everybody. Austin Theory got murked. Got F5'd over in a chamber pod on top and got pinned later. Yo, Lesnar looked like a goddamn monster. Looked dominant. I guess they did that to make an obvious title for title with Roman and Lesnar. But this was cool. This was a cool ending. Obviously, Lesnar was gonna win this match, and that's technically it. This pay-per-view was mid, like really mid, like one or two good matches. The rest you could have just skipped next to the Library of Attitude era that you probably are going to rewatch afterwards in a few months anyway. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. This show was mid as hell, and like I couldn't rewatch. I had to go back and highlights to see what I watched because I thought I slept over the tag title match with the Viking Raiders and the Usos without noticing that technically wasn't going to start because of what the Usos did. And I guess the Women's Elimination Chamber, that was like the weakest part of the match, with an obvious finish being Bianca Belair was going to win. I think a lot of people wished it would have been Alexa Bliss. But, they when they tried to save over what they did back at SummerSlam to, evade Bianca WWE being racist over making Bianca lose in such unconvincing fashion. Until, we're back at March, and they're back pushing Alexa Bliss. Other than that, thanks for watching, everybody. That's it for me.